Yeah, we're bowling off this Wednesday's edition of the SportsMax Zone with cricket. This year's Caribbean Premier League is set to start on the 16th of August with the first match between St. Lucia Kings and defending champions Jamaica Tallawahs in St. Lucia. The tournament will run until the 24th of September. Republic Bank has come on board as new title sponsors, upgrading their status of support, having sponsored the CPL for quite some time. There has been an adjustment to the start time for the early matches from noon to 10 in the morning. CPL Commercial Director Jamie Stewart explained the organization's rationale for the move.
These 10 a.m. games, we have a great opportunity to bring a lot of school children, for one, to the matches. I think there's also an opportunity to give families the opportunity who otherwise may not be able to afford, four CPL tickets. I think, if we can use these matches to broaden the base and provide opportunity to fans and people who otherwise might not have had that opportunity, whether they're from disadvantaged communities or lower socioeconomic groups, or, as I said, the focus on families and school kids for sure. So we'd really like to position, those morning matches as for families, and it's sort of a different kind of party, but still a party. It's a family get together.
So no women's CPL has been announced yet for this year, but Stewart says CPL as an entity understands the need for supporting the women's game.
In the room are already sort of on board with supporting the women's event also. I think along the lines of what we all talked today, I think, it's sort of incoherent to be supporting the men and not the women, particularly in this day and age. I don't know quite what message that would send, so I would urge all of you to think about it. That's why we've kept it quite accessible, because really we want to keep the same group of partners across the two events. One, they're running back to back, so there's a synergy in that sense, and the women's matches are going to run into prime time on television. But two, I just think in the times we live in, I think everyone wants to see women's sport promoted and opportunities for women to come up and be level with those that are offered to men. So I urge you all to think about, those of you that are already partnering, how we can work together to really make these women household names.
Yeah, and Mariah, remember that the CPL, the women's phase of it, had generated a lot of interest and was embraced by everyone, including your sister. I guess we'll hear something on that soon.
Well, I hope we hear something on that soon, because it's, for me personally, I really enjoyed looking at the women's CPL too. I had the opportunity to chat with the women players, and of course, Lance, it was an opportunity for them to feel equal. We know the attraction and the attention that the CPL draws, and of course the ladies got the chance to be a part of this, and I'm pretty sure they're looking forward to this year, and I hope that we can hear something soon, because I'm going to be finding out. I'm going to be asking.
Yeah, CPL pretty hot both on the men's and women's side. Now, on to some more news coming out of the CPL. Former Jamaica Tallawahs captain Rovman Powell confirmed his move from the franchise via a post on Instagram. This is what Rovman Powell said. He's the current West Indies T20 captain, of course. I have made lifelong friends and memories I will never forget, not least winning 2 CPL titles for my home franchise, one of those as captain, which I will always cherish. I'm looking forward to joining the Royals and beginning a new chapter of my CPL career. I would like to thank all the players and coaches who have been part of my Tallawahs journey these last few years. Most of all, I want to thank the Jamaican fans for your support. Always remember, we're little but we're Tallawah. He did say at the top that it was with a heavy heart that his time at the Tallawahs has come to an end. And here is where we bring in international cricket commentator Fazir Mohammed to discuss this development. Faz, Rovman confirming on social media his move, which we had said last week on the show. We had gotten an insight on that story. Hayden Walsh Jr. set to move to the Tallawahs. And what's really happening here with the Tallawahs? The Jamaican fans, first of all, unsettled by the fact that for about 4 years now there's no match at Sabina Park. Now they've lost their winning captain from last season.
Yeah, Lance, and good evening to you and good evening to Mariah as well. I suppose it should be almost considered even more unsettling that a prominent player is leaving without acrimony, because we know the whole Chris Gayle situation, Andre Russell. It almost seems to be something expected that something is going to happen with the Tallawahs, that will have some prominent player saying something untoward. But it was really very nice of Rovman Powell, the way he presented it, that at his heart he'll always be a Tallawah. He is a Jamaican national, so that goes without saying. But this is the environment we now live in. We take it for granted in football and other franchise sports and American sport. It happens every Monday morning, or even 3 times on a Monday. And so the fact that it's now becoming part and parcel of the CPL experience, more than 3 months away from the tournament itself, I think really sets the stage for stirring up interest in the tournament, because it's something that will generate a bit of discussion, and you'll get quite a bit of comment, speculation even on social media. But it's good to see the way in which he would have left as a champion, having led them to the title last year in Guyana, and now moving on to another challenge.
Yeah, I know that you said it has happened without acrimony, and on the face of it, it doesn't appear that way, even though the inside story is suggesting that there was a little bit of conflict at some point there. I'm not sure if we get some more details on that, but you are correct. In comparison to Chris Gayle's departure and Andre Russell's departure, they had some not too nice things to say about the Tallawahs when they were leaving.
Absolutely, and yeah, you're right, lad, because what goes on in the background is usually like the iceberg. It's 90% of what we actually find out. So yeah, there might be some things, but at the end of the day, because again, it is something that you're marketing, it's something that you're selling to the public. You don't want to have controversy at this early stage when you're trying to build interest with this idea of the 10 o'clock game, which is a talking point in itself. And this is a quick aside, I like the idea that it's for families, although I think it's more for Indian families, because 10 a.m. is 7:30 in the evening Indian time, so I think it's more tuned to Indian families than West Indian families as far as viewership. But getting back to that point, yes, there may be some issues there may be some uncomfortable discussions that would have gone on in the background that would have prompted the discussion, but at least at an official formal level, it looks like everything is above board, or everything is at least, if not hunky-dory, at least leading in a good way, put it that way.
Yeah, Faz, but you know, one thing I know about Jamaican people, and I know CPL is not promoted as country, you know, like they say TKR is, yes, it's Trinidad franchise, but of course different people support, like Lance supports TKR, he is Jamaican and whatnot. But what I will say is, you know, the fans of the Jamaica Tallawahs, they are not okay with the fact that they're losing a player who has the ability to take away the match from an opponent with bat and ball, not forgetting his leadership skills. So now that gap that Rovman Powell leaves when it comes to results-wise, because everybody wants to win. The Tallawahs, after so long, finally won a CPL. And now there's a concern as to, you know, if Hayden Walsh Jr. can come in and do the same thing that Rovman Powell, that hole that he will be leaving, can that be filled?
Well, I hear what you're saying, Mariah, but maybe that's why this announcement has been timed 3 months away, to give people the opportunity to cool down. Because you may recall the first season of the CPL in 2013, when a certain Karen Pollard was made captain of the Barbados Pride, as they were at the time. There was a lot of consternation. Maybe it was overblown, maybe it was overdone, because the thing was that the Bajan fans didn't take too kindly to their franchise being led by a Trini, or at least a non-Barbajan. And the very first night, it was chock-a-block, and it was absolutely packed for every match, including the home team for that stage of the tournament. So this situation, timed as it is probably intended as well to just diffuse whatever anger, and yes, there will still be speculation, but probably the hope is that by the time you get around to mid-August, when the tournament proper gets underway, that the lingering resentment or whatever feelings that there might be would have dissipated somewhat.
Yeah, I remember that show, and I also remember when Riyad Emirates was the captain of Guyana Amazon Warriors. I remember that so well because I was at the Queen's Park Oval looking on, and I think he didn't bowl an over. The over was expensive. And of course, the first thing people say, and it was against TKR, the first thing they love to say when you belong to a different country is you sell out, you sell out the match. So I can understand that point fast, but then again, thinking about Hayden Walsh Jr. coming into the Jamaica Tallawahs setup, what does he bring to the Tallawahs setup? I know he's very eager to join them, but of course, every time something goes wrong, maybe Hayden Walsh Jr. will get the bad end of the stick.
Which he's been getting for quite a while after that outstanding first year in the CPL when he was
so
really
good.
The man to watch with his bowling. But I think what he brings, and again, because I feel personally that he's someone who's been given a raw deal, certainly at senior international level, certainly as far as been given a fair opportunity to prove his worth over a consistent period, that here he has another chance with the Jamaica Tallawahs, who are again one of those franchises who, when the discussion starts, you don't often hear them being mentioned because they may not have this bevy of glamorous international talent. But again, they live up to their name, Tallawah, the sum of their parts, and they almost always seem to be there or thereabouts at the end.
Yeah.
And therefore, for someone like a Hayden Walsh, it's an excellent opportunity, not just with his bowling, his enthusiasm, his brilliant fielding, his sometimes useful batting, but again, being part of a setup and maybe wanting to prove a point yet again, apart from his own ebullience and enthusiasm for the game.
Yeah. Well, I won't be able to sleep tonight if I don't ask you this before I hand over to Lance. The women's CPL, no word on it yet. Not a good look.
It's not a good look, and therefore you would hope that sooner rather than later you hear something. Because look at what's happening with the Women's FIFA World Cup, with the possibility of a blackout in Europe, depending on live games being shown and money and television rights and so on.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, for far too long, women have been treated as second-class citizens. That's not even a debate. And therefore, even for dinosaurs who will reluctantly give ground to the women's game, whatever the sport might be, saying, well, it's really almost under 19s playing and so on. That is not the point. We don't say that about women's sprinting. We don't say that about netball. We don't say that about swimming and so on. And again, we need, as a society, as a world, in the same way that we're talking about racism and other forms of discrimination, sexism is another element of it, to recognize that women, at least half of the world's population, have every right to have their own tournament with their own sort of systems and values and structures and reputable names and prize money and so on. So the longer it takes for the CPL to announce the fixtures and what's going to be happening with the women's CPL, as you said, the worse it's going to look for them.
Yeah, and Faz, because of the stutter that we had in 2020 with the COVID-19 and the bubble and so on, the CPL did take a bit of a hit, but it clearly has been resuscitated now to its highest levels, with so many venues staging matches in 2023 starting in mid-August, August 16 actually, Shivnarayan Chandrapur's birthday.
Indeed, and we just come out of Brian Lara's birthday yesterday. The two who are at the wicket for that 375, which Mariah identified as a famous moment. You talked about it as well yesterday. But the fact of the matter is that it's becoming an even more crowded space. The last time we talked about the crowded space, we've now got all of these tournaments. You've got the 100 that will be going on at the same time with the CPL. You've got so much else that will be happening. And then you've got the Saudis probably entering the fray at some point. And the Saudis with their money, with Live Golf and all of that sort of thing. So it's becoming increasingly competitive. You have the Indian franchises with their satellites at other franchise tournaments. So it's almost as if you're being consumed by the Indian market, even if you are celebrating as the Jamaica Tallawahs and so on. So the whole issue of identity, and I think that's an element that we have, a Caribbean identity on or off the field that remains unique, and something that I'm sure the authorities will be trying their very best to maximize, to ensure that the CPL has a visibility that is different and that is distinct from all these T20 tournaments all over the place.
Yeah, and earlier on, Faz, you did reference the television market for the Indian community, which is real, and the CPL organizers speak very boastfully, I might add, about how popular the CPL is in India, and just trying to ensure or to consolidate that as a content provider for Indian cricket loving fans. The CPL is right up there.
They are, and they had fantastic numbers with that disruptive year of 2020, when everything was behind closed doors, basically no fans, and because there was hardly anything else going on, they had huge numbers in India. So yeah, and again, we may not like it, we may not feel comfortable about it. We even had the CEO, Johnny Grave of Cricket West Indies, heralding the schedule for the West Indies against England in December, talking about welcoming England fans, not welcoming West Indian fans. We're talking about the economic the benefits that would be gained from it. This is what we've been reduced to. It's not so much how we play, but who comes when they play and how much money they'll bring with them in television rights when they play.
Yeah, all right, Faz, we look forward to mid-August because the CPL is always great and it's always on SportsMax, the home of champions, and I'm sure we'll be having many discussions between now and then. Thanks, Faz. Great to have you back on the show. Haven't seen you in a while.
Good to be back, and the goldfish would have grown just a little bit, waiting for the next opportunity.
All right, Faz. Interesting to hear Faz mention a couple of things there, Mariah.
Yes.
One, the women sporting position that it holds in global sport, and referencing, people not saying the same things about women swimmers and so on.
Correct.
As opposed to like women cricketers. And as he said that, it hit me that at least in one Caribbean country that I know, there are national records that the women have that are actually better than the men's record.
Yeah.
in some events.
Yeah.
So the women swimmers are pretty strong.
Correct.
As we've known. And the other point that Faz mentioned, of course, was the departure of Rovman Powell, done in a decent way, because we did see Chris Gayle and
but maybe because of his
Andre
personality.
Russell, and Andre Russell leave in an acrimonious manner. You were looking at some stuff today, Moran. Andre Russell having some pretty negative things to say about the Tallawahs.
Yeah, I think he said it was one of the weird franchise that he had.
One of the most weird franchises he has ever played for, and Andre Russell has played for many.
Yeah, so that's just to tell you. So it wasn't a pretty exit,
Yes.
Rovman Powell hasn't spoken yet, and I mean, I'm going to try to get that interview.
Well, he did on social media.
I know, but still, like...
He hasn't spoken in depth, but he has given an outline as to his departure.
Yeah, but
and I don't think we're going to get anything more from him on that.
Well, we can try, because not everybody lands will come out and say what they're experiencing. Not everybody likes those type of confrontation and stuff. But just to leave, and the thing is, what I got from it is heavy heart.
Yes.
Saying heavy heart is saying something without saying too much.
Yes.
Putting the word captain in caps says something to me without, doing it in a nasty way.
Yeah.
If I'm to say that. So I'm going to try. I'll try my best.
Yeah, well, there is an inside story that there was some conflict between Rovman Powell and the hierarchy in the Jamaica Tallawahs. We don't have all the details yet, so we won't speculate. But I don't think it was as seamless as it's being delivered here to us now. And of course, Rovman doesn't appear to be the type of person who wants to create too much conflict and consternation about this move as he heads to the Barbados Royals. We go to break. Still a lot more to come on the SportsMax Zone. We'll be back in a moment.
Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.